Greetings, I am Erin Patten, metaphysical master in a millennial age, and it is my life's purpose to guide you and organizations along an enlightened path. So I invite you to sit comfortably and tune in as I welcome you to the Meta Business Millennial, where we get the real conversations you won't get in the boardroom so that we understand this is exactly the path we need to be on in order to grow, evolve, and thrive. Greetings, I am Erin Patten, also known as Master L, and welcome to the Meta Business Millennial podcast. I am just so grateful to be here today, as always, live with you guys. It's, still the top of the year, and I am still feeling that energy and the momentum of just getting shit done this year, like really hitting 2024 like a rocket ship. And I hope a lot of you all feel that same energy because that's what we need to feel in order to get where we're trying to go. Okay. The past couple of weeks, it's really been about setting the goals for 2024. That's how I opened up the podcast this year. Then last week we talked about, okay, when you hit those roadblocks, like the breakdown you have before the breakthrough. And, I feel like this week it's really important to start talking about the people that we surround ourselves with. Because not only have I had, an incredible experience, a depth of experience in building teams and working in teams and leading teams. A lot of my clients, a lot of people who I work with also have that experience of the team and how important the people are in reaching your goals and achieving all that you want to in your business. And when we aren't utilizing discernment, which is probably the right word that the theme likely that we're going to continue to speak to and break down in how we assess the people that we bring onto our team, the people we let go from our team, or the people we build up on our team. And in order to be a powerful leader, or if you already are a powerful leader, you already know that you only are as good as the company you keep. So, Steve Jobs said it. So many other great leaders have said it, where they're just like, hire people that are smarter than you. Make sure the people around you are really bringing innovation, good ideas, good energy, a open heart, a kind spirit, a willingness to collaborate to the team. And so let's just go ahead and get into it because I had already started. I had already started with it. But whether you are a small organization, a fast growing startup, or a very established corporate organization, the people who you work with are critical. And whether you're leading them, you have your peers, your colleagues, you want to make sure that you are holding that space, especially as a leader, for people to be able to be in their authenticity so that they can contribute at their highest level. And I think this is the hardest piece for folks to really get behind because, obviously what I do can feel a little bit woo-woo. And I said it before and I'll say it again, the woo-woo gets you to the ooh-ooh. It really gets you to that next level because we have to be able to utilize our entire beings for the work that we do. And when I mean our entire beings, not only are we physical beings, we're emotional beings, and we're spirit beings, we're energetic beings. And I talk about this a lot in my courses. So definitely, tap in with me if you're interested in the coaching or working with me in my organizational work for VIP days that I do for organizations and or more intentional, in-depth strategic engagements where we really start to break down the energy of the individual and the energy of the organization. But just very briefly, the energy that we carry as individuals is our life force. And this is what connects us to source, connects us to God, however you want to articulate that power that you get to wake up every day and go to work. That's energy. And then we have our emotions. Our emotions are that which you feel. It's energy in motion. So it's the energy life force that you get that touches the organs in your body, the muscles in your body that actually make you feel nervous, angry, anxious, happy, in love. These are emotions and they're our guidance system. And our emotions allow us to know which direction to go in our physical life. So the physical aspect of our existence is like last, like it starts with the energy, emotions, then our physical path. And our physical path is very much dictated by the energy that we carry. So as leaders, it's really important for us to be tapping into our energy, noticing it, naming it, nurturing it, so that we can continue to hold space for ourselves and ultimately for our team, for the people who we bring on. Because when we talk about you're only as good as the company you keep, it's like that because it's a vibration. It's like that because it's a frequency. So if you're not tending to your energy and you're always vibrating at a frequency of desperation, a frequency of putting out fires, a frequency of people pleasing, then guess what? You're going to attract people who are constantly on that frequency as well. They're not going to be able to rise up to the occasion when you're trying to get to that next level. So you first have to level yourself up before you can level your team up. And that's key. So when we talk about the energy of who you want to make sure that you are paying attention to your emotions, because that's actually what dictates what the energy, where your 0 point is for your energy, essentially. So if you're waking up in the morning and you're anxious or you're angry, or then you kind of already know, like, okay, this is kind of my 0 point. I need to tend to myself. I need to give myself some extra care today to make sure that I'm moving into a space of more openness, of more receptivity, and ultimately more courage, more happiness, so you can have better, feelings and vibes when you get to work. And when we talk about how we're holding this space for our teams, that's essentially what we're doing. We're bringing that energy into our office, to our virtual calls, whatever that looks like, and people feel it. People feel that. So when you're getting on the call and you don't want to be there, or you haven't had enough sleep that night, maybe if it feels authentic to you, maybe worthwhile to express that. And I'm speaking from personal experience as a leader of my own organization and having worked with lots of teams. I have found that now having that vulnerability in work settings, whether it be volunteer work or, you know, earnings compensated work, I am bringing my full self. And we generally always make time for those check-ins. And I know oftentimes in team meetings, we do check-ins and updates, but it's generally always about the work. I highly encourage you, and this is certainly a tip too from the meta business world, consultancy and advisory, that we do check-ins on the human being. When we meet and gather as a team, we're always tapping into who we are and how we're feeling as a human. So, as the leader, when I'm not feeling that great, I'll come to the meetings and say, Lord, like last night I didn't get no sleep because my child, da, 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 da. Or, you know what, I'm dealing with this emotional issue on the personal front that's really bleeding over into my work life, and I haven't had a chance to get to the things that I wanted to do, but here I am, and it opens the door, first of all, for that vulnerability to be felt and expressed by other people. And I've done posts about vulnerability. I mean, we've all seen Brene Brown's vulnerability. We all know the power of the vulnerability aspect, and that also makes us human. And also, especially as divine beings in this human incarnation, it allows that divinity to shine through, because then you're able to be who you are. And that fundamentally is what makes great leaders. Not how much you can force people to do shit, not how much you can trample over people, not how much you can conquer. That is not leadership. Leadership is how you make people feel. Are you motivating? Are you inspiring people? Are you moving people to inspired, positive action? That is good leadership. And that's what we're looking for in these days and times. That is what the meta business world represents. Leadership that's inspired leadership to a greater, higher good. Okay? So when we're talking about this vulnerability aspect, it's not to look weak. It's not so that people can poke you and take advantage of you. If anything, it exposes real quick those people who are trying to poke you and take advantage of you. And as a leader, as a person of higher standing in the organization, it's then up to you to decide, how do I deal with this inconsistency in character if you feel that someone's attacking you or coming at you for your vulnerability, especially. You know what I'm saying? So when we start talking about building teams, it first starts with us as leaders. What we model then gets essentially trickled down in the organization and to our teams. And then we're able to see people for who they are. And it may not happen overnight. It may take some time. It may take a few months, a few weeks, few days, even a few hours, depending on your level of discernment. We're talking about this piece about discernment and what do you see in other people? Because you also have to come back to yourself. Is it a projection? Am I projecting my insecurities on someone? And then that takes time to work through and sort out before you come back and sit with yourself. And you're like, okay, I've worked through my own insecurity around this, and I'm still seeing this inconsistency in energy and behavior in this individual. So that I know it's not personal. I know it's not me. So, as we're thinking about our teams, we're also wanting to be very aware of character inconsistencies, because as we're moving into this season of wanting to build billion-dollar companies that are righteous, that are just, that are in alignment with all that is good, we want to make sure that the people on our team share those same values and that they can show up in truth with those same values. And so it is then your responsibility to either um, uh, notice people for that, and or support people in developing those skills. And again, that's the work of the meta business world. That's the work that I do, is supporting leaders and really skilling up themselves around having very firm and very clear and aligned values with their highest self, and then expansion of those values to the organization and to the team members. And that takes very intentional work, and it's not easy. It's challenging work, but at the end of the day, it shifts the trajectory of your business 100%. This takes you into the future with ease. And as I've mentioned before, and I'll continue to say it on every podcast likely, is that how we've done business in the past, how we've operated as human beings in the past, as politicians in the past, is not compatible with our future. And I feel so convicted in this statement because of what I'm seeing in media, politically, in business right now today. It's a lot of violence. It's a lot of fear mongering. It's a lot of all that doesn't represent the highest values of humanity. And that is the future. That is the future that I see. That is the future that I want to exist in. That's the future that I want my child to grow up in. And I hope and I trust that's the same for you. That's why you're even tapped into me right now. Is that we desire to co create a future of the highest order, where people are loved and respected and seen for who they are and treated as such, and not murdered, killed, trampled over, taken advantage of for being weaker or having a younger soul, or a different level of consciousness. We are not taking advantage of people to get to the next level in business anymore. That no longer will work. It just won't work. So we have to understand as leaders the responsibility that we have to level up our energy, to level up our emotional capacity and ability to be able to do this very hard work that we've been called to do every single day. And this is how we prevent the burnout. This is how we prevent the what we would see in the old history times of well, not too long ago, but people jumping out of buildings on Wall Street, committing suicide because they aren't, capable of handling the pressure. Our work should not bring us to that point. We should not be so driven by money and success and accolades that we are willing to sacrifice our lives, other people's lives. That is not compatible with the future. And historically, that's how business has been done, whether we want to admit it or not. The evidence is there, right in front of our face. So now that we know the truth, we can change it. That's what's so beautiful about being a human being, being a divine being in a human existence, is having free will. That's what's so beautiful about that's our biggest gift is having the free will to make a choice that is in alignment with your highest self and with the highest vision for our future on this planet. What does that require? That requires a very intentional practice as an individual on how to refine your being, how to refine your soul, how to clear out all the shit, the anger, the anxiety, the trauma, so that you may move, breathe, exist, be at the highest level at all times. That's what leadership requires in this day and time. That's the work that I do. That's the work of the meta business world is the constant refinement of our being so that we can always be ready for the challenges that show up on our doorstep. Always be ready and not want to have any kind of wobble in our actions. There's no compromising of these values. There's no bribery opportunity here. And that has not always been the case in business, in politics, in leadership. There's a lot of blackmail. There's a lot of covert contracts that really preclude and prevent the always best outcome for everyone, for organizations especially. So, getting back to how we're working on our teams as we're doing this work, because as how we move is how we be, is how people see us. And if people can see this very modeled leadership, then it gives them an opportunity to create that for themselves. Seeing is believing, seeing is achieving. What do we always talk about? Like when we talk about, inner city kids that don't have exposure or people who never got to see anything, we want to make sure that we model that which we want others to be. And that's the number one rule in building powerful teams. Powerful teams that are united and supportive of each other despite their differences, despite their backgrounds. And this is a piece too that I know is really, really contentious in organizations. It's creating this diversity and having the belonging and the inclusivity. All these themes that are so major in business today, more or less, major should be because they're fundamental. If we don't belong, how can we create? How can we co create? So we're generally putting the cart before the horse in business. And like I said, how we've done business in the past is just not sustainable for the future. We have to be willing to make the shifts first within ourselves as individuals, and then do the work to partner with organizations like mine, the Meta Business World, to co create new strategies, new structures for getting your organization to that energetic level, to that higher level, so that you can be more profitable, so you can have more of those innovative services and products and do it quickly. It takes work, but it doesn't take a lot of time. That's what's so beautiful about who I am and what I bring and what the meta business world brings to organizations is the ability to really accelerate and fast track this energetic work. As soon as you make that commitment, as soon as you set that intention, and making sure that all of you is committed to it, all of your own personal individual being is committed to it, then everything else falls away. You're able to move towards your goal, move towards your dream at rocket speed, like I started this conversation off with. Rocket ship. When you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you start to attract the people, the powerful people that can help you get there. Then it's a rocket ship. To take off from there. And I want us to understand that our ability to do that is fundamentally 100% dependent on you. How much do you want this? How much do you believe in this? How much do you want to see the change? To be able to have the wealth in your physical being, in your bank account, in your relationships, in your family, and not have to sacrifice sleep, have to sacrifice time with your children, time with your loved ones all the time. Always having to feel like you're on edge, like you're on fire, you're on eggshells. You can't say how you feel. Those days are over. When you start to move in this direction, it really allows for more of that sovereignty, that kingship, that queenship, where you're moving and delegating and directing from a higher perspective, from the highest perspective, with so much trust and confidence and knowing in your being, and trust and confidence and knowing in your team that people will deliver. Not only will they deliver, but it'll be amazing what they deliver. That is the level. And it's absolutely possible. It is absolutely possible. And we at the Meta Business World do this work, and we do it so well. And it's very simply laid out in our offerings. First, we have our meta coaching. When you're working with me, you're working with one of our facilitators one on one. And we're really advising you on how to work through your personal challenges to get to where you need to go in your business. Whatever it is that's standing in your way, that's blocking you from getting there, it is revealed and cleared quickly. And that coaching, that one on one work is fundamental because this is what you will have to cultivate every day for yourself for the rest of your life. This is the inner work. This is what I talk about when I talk about work. This is the work. And then we also have our VIP days, which is a very special opportunity for organizations to be activated as groups as small as 10 to as large as hundreds of people, where we can bring people together in cooperation and collaboration and pleasurable experiences, exercises, where we're doing things together to really see what this higher energetic capacity feels like, what the work can really be at the highest level, because it has to be experienced, it has to be felt in order to be achieved. Like I said, and I always say, the vibration precedes the manifestation. And when you have that vibration, that vibratory frequency for so many people, and we hold that space for that energy to be there, for that higher frequency to exist, then there's no going back from that. People have tasted, they've touched it, they felt it, and then now they can grow from there. And the next level from there is the deep dive into creating the strategies, the frameworks, the foundations and organizations so that this energy can continue to flourish and thrive and take off. And we call that our vision and values work. It looks like strategic, reassessment, alignment, new builds, new business models, certainly customized for every client that we work with. And this is the next level of how to do business as powerful leaders with powerful teams. And it gets me excited because of the impact that it has on the world, the impact that it has on humanity. And I don't know how many of you out there are feeling that calling to be a leader that changes the world, but I'm sure there are a lot of you out there. And if you are feeling that calling to be a leader that changes the world, you want to make sure you surround yourself with people that support that align with that, and that can grow with you in that. So I hope this is starting to get your wheels turning about like, okay, how do I tap in with the meta business world, or how do I tap in with Erin, or more of what Erin has to offer, or what we have to offer as an organization, because we really are created and have been created. I have come here to do this work and support you in getting to that next level. And you can continue to follow me on my social media at I am Erin Patten to get more of these kind of shorts around this work, or tap into the podcast at the Meta Business Millennial Podcast, where I go and dive deeper into how you can really grow your energy, do this work. And of course, the next best thing is to work with us. And you can apply to our programs, the one-on-one programs or our organizational programs, on my website at erinpatten.com, www.erinpatten.com. And you can apply to our programs where you can really start to activate the energy, activate the growth, the profit potential, the profit growth, the exponential profit growth at your organization starting today. Like, for real, you don't even have to wait. And so this really feels complete. I really hope that this again has inspired you to want to make that next step for yourself. And until next week, until our next podcast, I wish you much love, much light. Peace. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatten.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.